folks, it's Quinn with PTSD while black. Um, just doing a bit of a check-in, a follow-up really on um, coming out still on the other side of dealing with a gang stalking situation. Um, I want to say thank you very much for anyone who was sending any kind of positive vibes, good juju, healthy energy my way. Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. It made a big difference in my week. And hello there for the one person who watches my channel and then hops right off immediately, which I think that's probably the FBI, the CIA, YouTube. I don't know. Your mom. But anyway, um, or the stalkers themselves. Just doing a check in. This is a check in on coming out on the other side of dealing with the gang stalking situation. Um, it was so important for me to know and remember who I am and what my purpose is, what it is that I hope to do in my community, and how I choose to show up for my family and my friends. That was key, I think, in being able to separate from this identity that these folks on the internets, on the interwebs, wanted me to have, because they were wanting to project onto me their fears, their limitations as to what a fat black woman must be doing in her life, instead of just me being moi, which is weird and goofy and fun loving and sweet. I'm sweet. Then I get sour. Then I get bitter. And then I get petty. Uh, and then I get into where I make jokes out of everything. But I just realized that there are so many people that are being subjected to this gang stalking. And I think of poor teenagers and how they must be dealing with this. If I experienced this as a 41-year-old, how hard this had to be for teenagers. And so it's just this reminder of having people around you who love you, calling a friend, having someone that you can talk to, journaling. If you don't have anyone to talk to yet, talk to a pastor, a counselor, um, a therapist, your librarian, someone that you feel safe around. Do talk with them. And if you don't, video yourself for yourself, um, and to be able to talk out the process so that you can see yourself expressing what your feelings are. That's what these videos are on this channel, is me healing myself by talking out whatever it is that I'm going through, whatever the trauma looks like, and owning what my reality is. And so that's what I encourage for you to do, is to own your reality despite what the other persons are doing. And then I'd highly recommend, and this what's taped here, is I made a checklist of the lessons that I learned from going through this experience with these people about what are my boundaries, who am I, where do I end, and where do other people begin. For example, a large part of this started because I had severe PTSD, a severe PTSD episode, because I had seen a video of a black man being shot by the cops on the news, and I wasn't expecting to see that video on the news channel, and it triggered my racial trauma. So I now know that when my racial trauma is triggered and I am dealing with people who don't know what it's like to have my PTSD episodes, that I need to limit my access with those individuals while I go and be centered and grounded with people who do understand what my racial trauma triggers, or whatever the trauma trigger is that I have. So I'm glad that I have that as a resource under my tool belt. And again, with dealing with my traumas, the same things that I named earlier: journaling, naming your feelings, name my needs. I know you guys are like, Quinn, there's shit flying everywhere, and I swear it looks like some kind of serial killer lives here. But I have memory loss, and so I have these things taped to the door in my wall. And over here I have a list of basic universal human needs, and being reminded that it's okay for me to have basic human needs. And I'll try to, if I remember, I'll try to link where you can find a list of basic universal human needs, so that You have it as a resource for you, that it's okay for me to have these needs in these particular moments. Um, what I do with the young ladies that I mentor, young ladies, the women I mentor, um, is I tell them to, on a regular basis, to list the events, like three main events from your day, how you felt, and write feeling words about that event. List what were your needs and what can you do differently, because that puts you in the zone of accepting something happened. I felt some kind of way about it. I needed something, and this is what I can choose to do differently. That I now have choices. Gang stalkers, and especially the people doing the ambient abuse that I was experiencing, they don't want you to think you have any other choices, but you do. You always have choices, and it's not necessarily what's being spoon fed to you. So I'm hoping that someone finds that helpful. Um, the other thing is that I'm recognizing that these individuals want to control our thoughts and how we feel about ourselves. And I had to recognize that, hey, Quinn, you're being programmed versus what is true for you. Like the types of videos that I was seeing listed on my page on YouTube, for example, I was able to look at them and go, well, this is not true for me. Not interested, not interested. And just the ability to say not interested was enough for me to kind of get through the day. Like, oh, yeah, this isn't the only choice to scroll through and see what they're trying to send my way. No, I can always type in the search bar what I want to find. I can look for playlists that I've made previously. You have choices. There's so many choices. Um, and I'm grateful for that. And same thing with being on TikTok with the forced messages on the For You page. I'm like, oh, I have choices. I can just look at my profile. I can just look at the people that I follow. I can search for things that I want to watch. I don't have to watch the Force For You page. Even though I think being on the phone and holding this phone is like a crack addiction kind of thing. I'm like, nah. And I'm realizing, oh, wait a minute, Quinn, you're being addicted to social media. There are other things that you can do. Like, I have a cat that reminds me. She's like, yeah, pet me, play with me. I'm like, okay. So there are other things to do. Um, but the real main part is to feel your feelings and to celebrate yourself, celebrate the things that you've learned in this process. What I realized for me, that was like the next stage I was asking in my prayer and meditation today. I'm like, how can I fully transform from this situation so that I'm back to being centered as to how the divine, the universe, God, goddess would have me be, instead of still holding on to this limited perspective of what other human beings would have me be. And it was like that you can choose to change the energy that you're being given of fear to love and joy. I can choose a different space. I made a video a while back before all this stuff got really crazy that I accept and know that love is the universal language of the is the universe's language. That's it. Love is the universe's language, and sometimes it's just love misunderstood. That's what hurt, sorrow, grief, love lost can be. So if you speak everything in the language of love, where it's fear is a lack of love or an uncertainty around love, love that has been confused, love that has been misguided. If I speak around the experiences that I've had using love as the one code for those things, it changes the perspective. Like um, the fact that the ringleader in the gang stalking um, had blocked me. Let's start with that. That's I was being immensely loved at that time because I was given a chance to learn and know myself and what my needs were. I was released lovingly to have my own reality. I was he was also doing the best love that he could at that time. The person, and that's the other thing that I'm really learning, is that people are loving you the best that they can at any given moment. Even if they're Hitler and they're murdering people, that's the best love they've got to give at any given moment. Doesn't mean you have to take it. Doesn't mean you have to operate within it, but just recognizing that's the best that that person had to give. Okay. It's cool. I can look at the measurement of the best that someone has to give, and then I look at the measurement of what do I need. And it's okay for me to have a need for the amount of love I need. And if all that they can give me is a thimble full of love, that's fine. But I have a football field sized tank need of love. And that's why it feels so desolate and desperate. Maybe that's the word I'm wanting. It feels so desperate because all that I can get from this person is a thimble of love versus a football field tank of love that I need. And so it's just like, bleh, just a little bit. And so then I consider the source. I consider the source. He was doing the best that he possibly could. And the people who chose to gang stalk, they were trying to get love too. They were trying to be centered. They were trying to feel important, trying to feel like they mattered, trying to feel like they had a voice. They wanted to be loved too. And they did this out of a desire or a misunderstanding of how to be loved. And when I put it in that perspective, I'm like, oh yeah, that's just human beings humaning. But my boundaries are that I don't allow this limited amount of love in my space. I don't allow people who are ableist or racist. I don't allow them into my space because I love me enough. And that's the greatest love of all. For sure, I got to experience the greatest love of all as a result of this heinous experience. And I get to bask in that. But the reason why I bring this up of looking at going from fear to love is because as a certified hypnotherapist, I know that the mind will go to where there's the least resistance. If you're trying to run away from a fear, all you're thinking about is the fear and the thing that you don't want. Versus if you talk about what I do want or what is less threatening even, but it's more in the language of what I would want, which is love, then the more I can go towards the things that I do want. And if it's 2 cups of love versus 10 cups of love, well, I'm definitely going to go towards the 10 cups of love because it's in the universal. Oh my God, Quinn, you're such a geek. It's in the universal measurement. You've just done fractions, but with love versus fear and hate. Oh my God. And that's why my brain hurts. Yeah, I get to choose. I get to choose. And so I'm recognizing too that these kinds of situations for me, because it was a trigger for my social anxiety disorder, that I have a responsibility to write an action plan around social situations, especially when I'm going into new situations with new people. And I don't know if everybody believes that Black lives do matter. So I need to be able to make sure, okay, I'm in a room. Does everyone here believe that Black lives matter, that Black people do matter? Okay. If they do, cool, maybe I can move forward. And if they don't, let me just be a little cautious because some people may feel threatened by me being as Black and beautiful as I am full out. Some people are. And that's what happened in this case, is that some people felt threatened by a Black woman with disabilities having crazy amounts of creativity and talent that they had to work a little harder to try to get. And I'm like, that's how I kept myself sane, is through creativity and talent. because I've had to deal with such hardships and difficulties. Um, that's what I leaned on, was creativity. And it's just a different reality. We had different realities, and these folks could not accept that we had different realities. So, yeah. And again, it's just love misunderstood, love interrupted, possibly, because they didn't get a chance to know me. Anyway, this video is long. I'm going to wrap up because I know I have a husband who's lurking outside the door, who's like, lady, let me in. I want to go to bed. So I'm going to wrap here with y'all. I hope you have a wonderful night and take great care of yourself. And remember that you're worthy, you matter. And till then, peace.